Hi everyone, I'm Christy Forsyth with Clarity by Christy. I am a soul therapist and an intuitive that connects with the angelic energy. And these are your messages for how to best navigate this week. So I will tap into the messages that we need to hear from the angels about what to expect out of the energy, how to make the most of it, how we can best navigate it. And also then we're going to take a look at the tarot cards that I pulled to build upon the messages that we have here. It is Cancer season. We're still in Cancer season, right? And we are officially going to be moving into Leo season on the 22nd over the course of this week. And I think that we're going to see a bit of a shift. I think it's going to be a relief because this has been such an emotional energy. Let me know in comments if you guys have felt really emotional lately or really easily overwhelmed. I noticed that during Cancer season, I just can tend to cry so easily or feel much more reactive or make things to be a bigger deal than they are. Hot Chris Stilson. So it is definitely a challenging energy in some ways, but it has a place, it has a role. I've been talking about how this can be a very nurturing energy, and it's also an opportunity for us to work through some things, to heal some things, to clear some things so that we can move forward, so that we can step into this Leo energy that is more fiery, that is more fun, that is a bit lighter, so that we can step into that and really enjoy that energy, right? But we have to go through this process of clearing and releasing so that we can continue to do our work, so that we can take advantage of this energy that we now have coming in that I do think is going to be a bit lighter. Now, part of the issue is that as we're stepping into Leo season, we also are dealing with all kinds of solar flares, all kinds of planetary energy that feels very intense, especially for you empaths out there that feel all of this stuff, right? So that intensity is real. What you're experiencing is real, and it can be very challenging. So keep that in mind. Be gentle with yourself, especially right now, especially here in the beginning of this week. Like I said, I think that we're going to find, my sense is like we start to get our groove back a little bit as we shift into Leo season, and it's going to be a little bit more fun and lighter, a little bit more energizing, definitely less emotional. But in the meantime, can we just take really good care of ourselves and be asking ourselves what it is that we need, because that is providing ourselves with that nurturing energy that we're calling for, that we're needing, right? That's a big part of what the emotion is about. It's showing you what you're needing. It's showing you where you need to make changes. It's showing us how we need to make adjustments in our lives so that we can create the best life possible for ourselves. Part of what we have to keep in mind is this Venus retrograde energy is already creeping in. It's already there. It's already moving in. And so people are noticing. I had somebody comment earlier on a post and was saying that she's taking a look back on some past relationships and kind of going back through that and recognizing some things that she's learned and maybe revisiting some of the emotion around that, stuff like that. And then experiencing the energy that is helping to support her healing process with that. That's really what Venus retrograde can provide us with. Venus retrograde is going to be really focused around relationships and money, pleasure. You know, that is what Venus is connected with. And so when we go into retrograde, we find that we're taking a look, we're revisiting things around that. We are taking a look at that. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we will be renewing relationships from the past, right? But we definitely might be revisiting them and seeing what there is to be learning from that, where there's room for growth, or what lessons we need to take away from that, or where we can still heal. And so we may find that people from the past come up during this retrograde. I think that it's really important though for us to keep in mind that yes, we're going to be reflecting on this stuff, and that's very much part of the process, but it's so important that we're not getting lost in the past, that we're not spending so much of our time in the past, that we're not being present in our lives now, and that we're not focusing on what it is that we want to create now. There's very much this energy, especially here at the beginning of the week, of feeling really emotional around relationship stuff, right? Maybe in the relationships that we have now or past relationships. And I think that we can get really caught up in that. And I think if we stay caught up in the past stuff, that can really prevent us from creating this future that we want to be creating, or even just experiencing the present moment and enjoying the present moment. So try not to spend too much time in the past. You're going to go back to the past. You're going to be reflecting on it. We're going to be doing this. I think it's Venus retrograde is until like September 3rd or 4th. So we're going to be doing this for a little while. And it only comes around once every 18 months. So we've got some work to do, right? Where there's unhealed things in regard to finances, relationships, that kind of stuff. So I think that we just want to be mindful to not get too caught up in the past with that, right? And let it show us what it wants to show us without living in that energy. Now, the other part of this is, I almost called this video the limitless set limits, because I think in some ways we're starting to get clear on our power, how limitless we truly are here in this world, how we are these amazing co-creators with God, with the universe. But I also think that we're becoming aware of where we need to set limits, where there need to be limits, whether these are boundaries, limits that we need to set with other people. I think that's going to become clear, already is becoming clear this week, whether that is people currently in our lives, or where we're reflecting on the past and recognizing, I didn't do a great job at setting a boundary there, or I didn't do a great job at recognizing where I had reached my limit there. And now I need to honor that in my life moving forward. And so it gives us this clarity or this understanding of how we can move forward in a way that honors the limits that we have, right? Or it might even be where you have pushed yourself beyond your limits, right? Where you weren't listening to your body and you pushed your body too hard, or you stayed in a situation for far too long and you now recognize that you had reached your limit a long time before that. And that it's going to be so important for us moving forward to do that. We might find ourselves needing to set limits here in this week. Where are my limits? We're assessing our limits. Where do I need to set limits with myself? Where do I need to set limits with other people so that I can truly lean into this light, this limitless energy that I have, and focus on co-creating a beautiful life? Sometimes we have to clear things out in order to create this beautiful life. And I think that that's so important. There's also this process of unbecoming, right? Unbecoming who we thought that we used to be. We are rebuilding ourselves. We are becoming every single day more and more connected to our authentic selves. That's part of the energy of this year, is connecting with our authenticity in a deeper way. And so I think that even if you look at the beginning of the year versus now, how much more connected do you feel to your authentic self? And asking ourselves, how am I honoring that authentic self? But also, how am I unbecoming the person that I thought that I was, right? We might be recognizing, I just was that person or had those qualities because I thought that that was what someone else needed from me, or I thought that that was something that I thought was expected of me in a relationship, in a job, in just life in general. And now I'm recognizing that either never was part of who I was, or it doesn't resonate with me still. So letting those layers be peeled back as we're beginning to understand who we authentically are, what it is that we need to know, and how we need to operate from an authentic place moving forward in our lives. So I think that is becoming clear. But whenever we're releasing, because there's a release with the unbecoming, right? We're maybe making changes, letting go of things. there's a grieving process. And I think that some of the emotion that we're feeling right now is also that, this grieving, this understanding of this vision that I had in the past of how something was supposed to go isn't going that way, isn't going to go that way. And I have to be real with myself. I have to be honest with myself about that and accept it, right? There's an acceptance, but as we accept it, again, this is honoring that authentic part of ourselves, because we're recognizing that nothing that is truly meant for us will ever pass us by. And everything comes in exactly the right timing. So if it's not coming together, if it didn't come together, if it didn't work, then it wasn't supposed to work. And I think that that's so important for us to tune into. And I think as we start to process these things, there is this energy of getting our groove back a little bit, right? Connecting with a little bit more of our strength, connecting with a little bit more of our fire, especially as we shift into Leo season. Feeling a little bit more confident, a little bit more excited about life again. I think that we can connect with that excitement, even here in this Cancer energy, because when we can feel emotions more deeply, which is very much still this energy, we can feel all of the emotions more deeply. So we can feel the excitement, the joy, the happiness too, the sense of adventure too. So can we lean into that? The happiness, the joy, the adventure of life. Can we lean into that energy and make the most of it while we can connect on a deeper level? I think that we might find, if we get too caught up in the past and the old stuff too, that we're focusing on loss a lot, so let yourself process the loss. Every loss has a grieving that has to go with that. But I think that if we really take a step back and look at the losses that we may find ourselves getting caught up in or really emotional about, number one, I don't think we're going to feel as emotional about them next week. But number two, I think that there's a grieving, or we're focused on a loss, that if we really are honest with ourselves, if we really take a step back and tune in with it, it's not as much of a loss as our ego is telling us it is, right? It's more of our ego wants it rather than our soul knows it to be aligned for us. And I think that that's an important difference. What our soul knows is aligned for us will be connected for us, will happen for us, right? That will be guided into our lives in exactly the right timing. And our soul knows that. So our ego, while that may be difficult to take a look at, can take a look at that and say, you know what, maybe this wasn't meant for me. And maybe it's not as much of a loss for me as I thought it was, or as my ego is telling me. So challenge yourself on that a little bit. Maybe you're not as emotional as you think you are, right? I think that we can get really caught up in this emotion, and it builds a momentum, and it creates a level of drama around things that isn't the truth. Your feelings are not facts, right? And yes, we want to feel into the emotions and allow them, because there's a healing that's happening with that, but also take a step back and challenge that a little bit. Does the level of emotion that I'm experiencing match how important this really is to me? And will I wake up tomorrow morning or next week and feel a whole lot better about this? What is the chance that this isn't going to matter to me next week? So I think that we want to challenge that a little bit while still allowing ourselves to feel the feelings that we're feeling. So I hope all of that makes sense. So let's take a look at the cards that I pulled, because it's very supportive of the messages that we've talked about. So the first one is the Magician. Remember your power, right? You are limitless. Remember your power. Remember your power as a co-creator here in this world, and start to step into that. I think we're stepping into that this week, especially as we get further on into the week. Remember your power to manifest. Remember your power to create. And remember that what you focus on, you feed, right? And making sure that the thoughts that we are putting out to the world are creating the kind of experience that we want to have. Yes, take some time to feel the emotions, right? But then come back to your intentions. Then come back to the vision of what it is that you want to create. Don't get so lost in the emotion that you're spending all of this time focusing on that and not creating the stuff that you want to be creating, because it's really easy to do that right now. I've found myself there several times. So you have the power to do this. This is also a message for some people out there that you're ready for something, right? Maybe you've been kind of thinking about that and mulling some things over, and you're recognizing where your limits are and recognizing that you have to make a change. And this is saying you're ready. You're ready. You have all of the tools that you need. So somebody needs that message. Page of Pentacles in reverse. Pretty sure I pulled this last week or the week before. Leaning into new, right? So yes, we're reflecting on the past, but we also have to be willing to lean into the new, to be willing to have a fresh start, to be open to new experiences. Because just because you haven't experienced it yet doesn't mean, number one, that it's not coming, but it also doesn't mean that it's not what's best for you, right? We tend to stay in our comfort zones as human beings. And this is saying, be willing to step out of your comfort zone. And specifically with the Page of Pentacles, I tend to think of this as planting a seed. So this might be an intention. This might be taking the first step to starting something new. This might be, researching something that you've been thinking about getting started with and you don't know where to start. Research it. Just take the first step. Right? This is about taking the first step, planting the seed. Be willing to plant the seed, because if you never plant the seed, nothing will grow. Be willing to plant the seed. Have the courage, have the strength to plant the seed. You don't have to figure it all out today. You don't have to figure it all out this week. In fact, you're going to feel so emotional, you probably won't be able to see that clearly. But I think that we also are feeling really intuitive right now. So what is your intuition telling you? What is that step that you need to take? And what is the direction that we're heading in? The Nine of Cups, right? I think that as we are willing to invest in ourselves, in our lives, to take those inspired actions that we're feeling called to take, that we notice almost immediately how supported we are by the universe. We see the fulfillment of those things, or evidence that those things are moving in the right direction. We see that we can have incredible things, but we also have to be willing to turn our back on those things that we know aren't working or haven't worked. And we also have to be willing to forgive ourselves when we've stepped away from things that we know aren't working, and be willing to head in the direction of the unknown, even if we're not quite clear what it is that we're heading in the direction of, right? But be willing to turn our back on the things that we know are not working. And that can be really scary. That's a really scary journey, right? We're battling with ourselves with this Five of Wands. That we're battling with ourselves. We might be battling with other people. Don't get too caught up in the drama. Don't get too caught up in the emotion or the struggle, right? It doesn't have to be so hard. How can it be easier? And I think that we're taking a look at that too. I think being so emotional lately and the energy being so intense lately, it's almost forced that, right? How can I make this easier? Because I can't do this the same way anymore. It's too overwhelming, it's too hard, whatever. So how can it be easier? And some of that can come simply through setting the intention that it does get to be easier. My life is easier. I live my life now from a place of ease. This situation, I operate from a place of ease. However you want to say that, right? But it gets to be easier. It doesn't have to be so hard. This Seven of Wands further supporting that idea, right? But where the battles are worth battling, have them, right? State your truth, live in your truth, operate from your truth, move in your truth, and don't let other people's actions or other people's paths impact you. I get kind of this energy of like staying in your own lane with this card, right? We might find ourselves comparing ourselves to other people, or feeling like frustrated with, that this person has this going on and why do they have that happening but I don't. That's because that's their path, not yours, right? And that can show you things that you want to manifest, and that's really wonderful, and that's part of the point. But then you come back to your own lane and you focus on, what am I creating, and what is it that my soul is calling for, and what is the vision that I want to create? And that's never going to look exactly like somebody else. I also think that there's a lot of energy this week around like getting wrapped up in stuff that doesn't belong to us, other people's problems, doing things for people at the rate that we're rescuing people. And that's never going to serve us, and it's never going to serve the people that we're rescuing. Help? Yes. Rescue? No. People have to figure it out, right? Or you're actually doing them a disservice. You're forcing them to repeat the pattern again. And again, I'm not saying you can't help. Of course we help, but when I say rescue, I mean doing it for them, right? You're blocking them from learning the lesson that they're meant to learn. You're blocking their growth. Like I think about my kids and how sometimes I'm so quick to do things for them. And I've been really focusing on that lately, where it's like, take a step back and let them struggle a little bit. Take a step back and let them figure it out, because if you don't, they're not going to figure it out. They're always going to just expect that it's something that you need to do, and you're doing them a disservice by not letting them learn how to do that themselves. Support, guide, yes. Do it for them, no. I hope that makes sense. Last card, 6 of Cups in reverse. We might feel nostalgic. We might be focusing on the past. We might be revisiting the past. We might be reviewing things. That's all the things that we're meant to do, but don't get so stuck in it that you're living there. Visit, don't live there, okay? I think that is really going to serve us, and being open to where we're going, be open to the future, be open to things being different, be open to exploring new possibilities, and take the lessons that we've learned from the past and apply them into new situations. It doesn't mean that we have to go back to old situations. It can mean that we can learn from the past and that we can apply that as we move forward in our future. I hope all of that makes sense. If these messages resonate with you, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed already, please feel free to share this video, tag someone below, like this video, comment below. I always love to hear from you guys. It means a lot when you comment and just are participating as part of the process. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you're all well. I'm sending you so much light as we navigate through this energy. I do think that by the time we see each other next Tuesday, it's going to feel quite a bit lighter. So hang in there. We're getting there. And I think that we'll see the shift this weekend quite a bit. All right, take care, guys. I'll see you soon.